My girlfriend said I just needed space to work through my feelings about the wedding stress, then blocked me and went on vacation with her male best friend 1 month before our wedding. I am lost. I am writing this at 2 a.m. because I cannot sleep, and I honestly don't know what to think anymore. A month ago, I thought I knew exactly who I was marrying and what our future looked like. Now I am questioning everything about the past 3 years. Lexi, 28, and I have been together since college, engaged for 8 months. Our wedding is supposed to be in 4 weeks. Was supposed to be. I don't even know anymore. 3 weeks ago, we had what I thought was a normal argument about wedding planning. Nothing catastrophic, just stress about vendor coordination and some disagreements about the reception timeline. I was trying to be practical about logistics. She was focused on the aesthetic vision, standard engaged couple stuff, or so I thought. But the fight escalated in a way that blindsided me. She accused me of not caring about her vision for our special day. When I tried to explain that I was just trying to make sure everything ran smoothly, she cut me off. Mark, you are sucking all the joy out of this. All you care about is schedules and budgets. This is supposed to be about us celebrating our love, not you project managing our wedding like it is some work assignment. I tried to explain that I was being practical because I love her and want everything to be perfect, but she was done listening. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, turning back to say, I cannot deal with this right now. I need space to think about whether you are ready to be a husband, or if you are always going to treat our relationship like another task to optimize. Then she was gone. I figured she had cool off overnight and we had talk it through like we always do. That was 3 weeks ago. She blocked my number, blocked me on all social media, and wouldn't tell me where she went. 2 days later, I found out what was really happening in the most painful way possible. An old college friend sent me a message saying saw Lexi's photos on Instagram, didn't know you guys were doing a pre-wedding European trip. Looks amazing, with a bunch of screenshots attached. That is how I discovered she hadn't just disappeared. She had flown to Europe for a 3-week vacation with her college best friend Devin. Devin, who is a guy she has always insisted, is completely platonic, despite me feeling uncomfortable with how close they are. Devin, who she calls when she is upset, instead of talking to me. Devin, who somehow had 3 weeks free to drop everything and travel across the world with my fiancé. Looking at those screenshots broke something inside me. Lexi laughing on a beach in Greece. Lexi and Devin hiking through Italian countryside. Lexi raising a glass of wine at a romantic restaurant in Paris with Devin sitting across from her. Looking at her the way I thought, only I was supposed to look at her. My sister Sophia keeps asking if I am okay. And honestly, I don't know how to answer. Part of me understands that people need space when they are overwhelmed. But blocking your girlfriend and flying to Europe with another man a month before your wedding feels like more than needing space. It feels like making a choice. I have been going through the motions, working, eating, sleeping, but everything feels surreal. Our wedding are still coming in. Vendors are calling to confirm final details. Her dress is hanging in our shared closet. Meanwhile, she is posting pictures of sunset dinners with Devin, like our entire relationship exists in some parallel universe she has decided to temporarily exit. My best man Jake thinks I should start making practical decisions about the wedding. But how do you cancel a wedding when you don't even know if that is what is happening? How do you explain to family members who have bought plane tickets that your fiancé disappeared with another man but might come back and expect everything to be exactly where she left it? The worst part is the uncertainty. If she wanted to break up, I wish she had just say so. If she needs time to work through cold feet, I want to support her. But this radio silence while she travels Europe with Devin feels designed to leave me in limbo while she explores other options. I keep staring at my phone, hoping for any sign that she remembers we are supposed to be building a life together. But 3 weeks of silence speaks louder than any argument we could have had. Edit. Thank you for the responses. Several people are asking if I have reached out through mutual friends. I tried once through her roommate, and once through her sister, but they both said she asked them not to pass along messages, and that she will contact me when she is ready. Edit 2. Some people are suggesting I cancel wedding vendors. I have considered it, but what if she comes back, expecting everything to proceed as planned? I don't want to make irreversible decisions while she is processing, even though this silence is killing me. Edit 3. For those asking about Devon, they dated briefly in college before she and I got together. She has always maintained they are just friends, and I have tried to respect that despite my discomfort with their closeness. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments helped me realize I had been waiting for someone to return who had already shown me exactly how much our relationship meant to her. At first, I kept hoping each day would bring some communication, some sign that she remembered we were supposed to be partners facing challenges together. But as days turned into weeks, something shifted inside me. I started seeing the situation clearly for the first time. While I had been agonizing over whether to cancel vendors and worrying about her emotional state, she had been posting photos of romantic dinners and scenic adventures with another man. While I had been asking her friends and family to respect her need for space, she had been living it up across Europe without a single thought for how her actions might affect me. The breaking point came when Jake showed me a photo that someone had tagged her in, Lexi and Devon, at a couple's cooking class in Tuscany, both wearing matching aprons and laughing like they were on their honeymoon. The caption read, "Look at these lovebirds learning to make pasta together." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the woman in that photo laughing with another man while wearing the ring I had saved for 6 months to buy. This wasn't someone working through pre-wedding jitters. This was someone who had chosen to prioritize another relationship over ours and expected me to wait indefinitely for her to decide what she wanted. I made some decisions that week that I probably should have made sooner. First, I contacted our wedding vendors. Most were understanding, especially when I explained the situation. We lost some deposits, but I was able to reschedule or cancel most services. The venue coordinator actually said she had been wondering if everything was okay since Lexi hadn't responded to any final planning emails. Second, I started looking for a new apartment. Living in the space we had shared while she was traveling with another man felt like torture. I found a great one-bedroom across town and gave notice on our lease. Third, I changed my phone number. Not out of spite, but because I realized I needed to stop waiting for communication from someone who had blocked me first. The moving process was therapeutic in a way I hadn't expected. Boxing up 3 years of shared belongings forced me to confront how much of myself I had lost trying to accommodate someone who saw our relationship as something she could pause whenever it became inconvenient. I was carrying the last box to my car when my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. My heart jumped, thinking it might be Lexi, but it was actually Devon. "Mark, hey, it is Devon. Lexi asked me to call you." Even through the phone, I could hear awkwardness in his voice. "She wanted me to let you know she is flying back tonight and wants to talk. She is planning to come by the apartment tomorrow afternoon." I didn't know what to say. After 3 weeks of radio silence, she was dispatching her travel companion to announce her return, like she was royalty granting an audience. "Okay," I said finally. "Thanks for letting me know," Mark, Devon said quietly. "For what it is worth, I think there are some things you two need to discuss." The next afternoon, I was at my new apartment setting up furniture when my old landlord called. Apparently, a very upset woman was pounding on the door of my former apartment, demanding to know where I was. When the new tenant, a grad student named Amy, explained that she had rented the place 2 weeks ago, Lexi had started screaming about how I was living with another woman. 20 minutes later, my new phone number was ringing. Jake had given it to her after she had called him sobbing, convinced I was cheating. "Mark, where the hell are you? Who is that woman living in our apartment? What the hell is going on?" Her voice was shaking with anger and tears. For a moment, I felt the old instinct to comfort her, to explain and reassure. Then I remembered the 3 weeks of silence. The photos with Devon, the cooking class where they had played at being a couple while I agonized over our relationship. "Lexi," I said calmly. I moved out. I also canceled the wedding. The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought she had hung up. "You what? Mark, what are you talking about?" I just needed some time to think. 3 weeks, I said. "You needed 3 weeks with another man while blocking all contact with your fiancé 1 month before our wedding. Devon is my friend. You know that. I wasn't doing anything wrong. You blocked me and disappeared with another man for 3 weeks. You didn't answer a single message or call. You went to couples cooking classes and romantic dinners while posting photos like you were on your honeymoon. What exactly was I supposed to think? You were supposed to wait for me. You were supposed to trust that I love you and that I just needed space to work through my feelings about the wedding stress. The entitlement in her voice was staggering. She had genuinely expected me to put my life on hold while she explored Europe with Devon, then returned to find everything exactly as she had left it. I did wait, Lexi. I waited for any sign that you remembered we were supposed to be partners. I waited for you to care enough about our relationship to communicate like an adult, instead of blocking me and running away. But you made your choice when you chose to work through your feelings with Devon instead of with me. This is insane, Mark. I was processing things. I was trying to figure out if we were right for each other. And apparently you needed another man to help you figure that out. She started crying then, saying I was being unfair, that I was punishing her for needing space, that she had always planned to come back and work things out. But it was too late. The woman sobbing on the phone wasn't the partner I thought I had been building a life with. She was someone who saw our relationship as something she could put on pause whenever it became challenging. Something she could return to whenever more appealing options didn't work out. Edit. Several people are asking how I feel about canceling the wedding. Honestly, relieved. The hardest part was admitting to myself that someone who truly wanted to marry me wouldn't have blocked me and traveled Europe with another man a month before our wedding. Edit 2. For those wondering about the deposits, we lost about 40% of what we would paid, but most vendors were surprisingly understanding when I explained the situation. Edit 3. Thank you to everyone who said I did the right thing. 3 weeks ago, I felt like my world was ending. Now I realize it was just beginning. Update 2, I wasn't planning to post again, but the situation has escalated in ways I didn't expect. And frankly, I need to document what is happening for my own sanity. After our phone call 2 weeks ago, I thought Lexi might take some time to process what had happened, and maybe we could have a mature conversation about how we had gotten to this point. Instead, she launched what I can only describe as a campaign to rewrite history. Within days of returning from her vacation, she was telling anyone who would listen that I had abandoned her during a difficult time and moved in with another woman while she was away. The story she is spreading is that she went on a trip to clear her head before wedding stress, and came back to discover I had been cheating and had replaced her with someone else. What makes this particularly painful is that some of our mutual friends are actually believing her version. People who have known both of us for years are now treating me like I am some heartless cheater who threw away a 3-year relationship for a random woman. My sister Sophia has been getting calls from Lexi's friends demanding to know how I could do this to her. When Sophia tries to explain the actual timeline, that Lexi blocked me and disappeared for 3 weeks with another man, they act like she is making excuses for my behavior. The most surreal part is how Lexi has completely reframed her vacation with Devon. In her version, it was a supportive friend helping her through a crisis, and nothing inappropriate happened. Meanwhile, I am the villain for moving on immediately and bringing another woman into our home. Jake finally lost his patience when one of Lexi's sorority sisters cornered him at a mutual friend's birthday party, lecturing him about what a terrible person I am for cheating on Lexi while she was grieving our relationship problems. "Hold up," Jake said. "Let me get this straight. Lexi blocked Mark, disappeared for 3 weeks with another man, posted photos of romantic dinners and couples activities, then came back, expecting nothing to have changed. And somehow Mark is the bad guy for moving out of their apartment and canceling a wedding to someone who had abandoned him." According to Jake, the woman just stared at him, then said, "Well, when you put it like that, but not everyone is interested in hearing the actual timeline." Lexi's college friends seem determined to paint her as the victim of my sudden cruelty, regardless of the facts. What has been most revealing is seeing which friends actually care about the truth, versus which ones just want to take sides in drama. The people who matter have reached out to hear my perspective. The ones who are content to believe gossip without asking questions were apparently never really my friends anyway. The breaking point came last week when Lexi showed up at my new apartment. She would somehow gotten my address from someone, and when I opened the door, she immediately started crying. "Mark, please. I know I made mistakes, but we can work through this. I love you. I never meant for things to get so out of hand." For a moment, seeing her tears, I felt that old instinct to comfort her. But then I remembered the 3 weeks of silence, the photos with Devon, and the character assassination campaign she had been running against me. "Lexi, you didn't make mistakes. You made choices. You chose to block me instead of communicating. You chose to travel Europe with another man instead of working through problems with your fiancé. You chose to prioritize your feelings with Devin over our relationship. I was scared, Mark. I was overwhelmed about the wedding, and I didn't know how to talk to you about it, so you talked to Devin instead. For 3 weeks, in Europe, while posting photos that looked like honeymoon pictures, she didn't have an answer for that. And now, I continued, instead of taking responsibility for your choices, you are telling everyone I cheated and abandoned you. You are rewriting history to make yourself the victim of my cruelty instead of acknowledging that your actions had consequences. I am not trying to hurt you, Mark. People are asking questions about why our wedding got canceled, and I don't know what to tell them. How about the truth? That you blocked your fiancé and went on vacation with another man a month before your wedding. She flinched at that. It wasn't like that with Devin. What was it like, Lexi? Because from where I was sitting, watching the woman I planned to marry posting romantic dinner photos with another man while refusing to speak to me, it looked exactly like what it was. The conversation went in circles for another 20 minutes, with her alternating between tears and anger, sometimes claiming she had done nothing wrong, sometimes admitting she had handled things poorly but insisting I was overreacting. Finally, I said something that seemed to hit home. Lexi, if I had blocked you and disappeared to Europe with another woman for 3 weeks, posting photos of romantic dinners and couples activities, how would you have felt when I came back expecting nothing to have changed? She went very quiet, for the first time since she had returned. She seemed to actually consider the situation from my perspective. That would have hurt, she admitted quietly. It did hurt. It hurt enough that I realized I couldn't marry someone who would do that to me. She left after that, and I haven't heard from her directly since. But her smear campaign has continued, though with less success as more people hear the actual story. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has pointed out that her behavior is revealing her true character. Several people have mentioned that this level of image management and blame shifting suggests deeper issues I might have discovered after marriage anyway. Edit 2. For those asking if I miss her, I miss who I thought she was. But the person who blocked me and ran away with another man, then blamed me for the consequences, isn't someone I can build a life with. Edit 3. A few people have asked about Devin. I haven't heard from him since that initial phone call, which probably tells me everything I need to know about how platonic their relationship really was. Final update: this will be my last update on this situation. The storm has finally passed, and I want to close this chapter properly by sharing how everything resolved. About 2 weeks after my last post, I got an unexpected call from Devin. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Mark, I owe you an apology, he said immediately, and an explanation. I wasn't sure I wanted either. But something in his voice made me listen. What Lexi has been saying about the trip, about your relationship, about what happened, it is not fair to you. I cannot keep staying quiet while she destroys your reputation over choices that were partly my fault. He went on to explain that the vacation hadn't been as innocent as Lexi was claiming. They hadn't slept together, but there had been romantic undertones throughout the trip that made it clear she was testing the waters with him while keeping me as a backup option. She talked about you constantly, Devin said, but not in the way someone talks about a person they love. She was listing your faults, comparing you to me, asking hypothetical questions about what I would do in situations where you had disappointed her. It felt like she was building a case for why your relationship wasn't right. The most damaging revelation was that the trip had been planned before our fight. Lexi had apparently been talking to Devin about feeling trapped by our engagement and had already booked the European vacation when we had our argument about wedding planning. She told me she was going to pick a fight with you so she could justify taking the trip to clear her head. I thought she was just nervous about getting married, but now I realize she was looking for an exit strategy. The pieces started falling into place. The intensity of her reaction to our relatively minor disagreement, the immediate blocking and disappearance, the carefully orchestrated 3-week absence that coincidentally took her to romantic destinations with another man. Devin also revealed that Lexi had asked him to confirm her story about the trip being purely supportive if anyone asked. When he had refused to lie for her, she had cut contact with him too. I should have called you sooner, he said. I should have told you what was really happening. I am sorry you had to go through weeks of people thinking you were the villain when she was the one who orchestrated this whole situation. Armed with this information, I faced a choice. I could use Devon's revelations to publicly clear my name and expose Lexi's manipulation, or I could take the high road and simply let the truth emerge naturally. I chose the latter, but I did share Devon's insights with a few key people who had been vocal in their criticism of my abandonment of Lexi. One was Jake, who I knew would handle the information appropriately. Another was my sister Sophia, who had been fielding angry calls from Lexi's friends for weeks. Within days, the narrative began to shift. Not through any campaign on my part, but simply because the truth has a way of revealing itself when people start asking the right questions. Mutual friends began connecting dots they had overlooked before. Why had Lexi blocked me if she was just processing wedding stress? Why had she planned a 3-week vacation instead of taking a long weekend? Why were all her photos with Devon so romantic if their relationship was purely platonic? The final nail in the coffin of her victim narrative came when someone found posts on Devon's social media from before our fight. Posts about exciting travel plans and life-changing adventures that were dated weeks before our argument. Lexi's smear campaign quietly faded as it became clear that she had been planning her exit strategy long before our wedding disagreement gave her the excuse to execute it. I ran into her one last time at a mutual friend's wedding last weekend. She approached me during cocktail hour looking nervous. "Mark, I want you to know that I am sorry about how everything happened. I know. I handled things badly." I looked at her, this person I had planned to spend my life with, and felt nothing but relief that I had discovered her true character before making an irreversible commitment. "I appreciate the apology, Lexi. I hope you find what you are looking for." She seemed to want to say more, but I didn't give her the opportunity. I walked away, not out of anger, but because I had already said everything that needed to be said. Later that evening, watching our friends celebrate their marriage, I felt profound gratitude for the way things had unfolded. A year ago, that could have been Lexi and me exchanging vows while she harbored secret doubts, and I remained blind to her willingness to prioritize other relationships over ours. I think about the man I was 6 months ago, desperately waiting for communication from someone who had blocked me and abandoned our relationship. That version of myself had been so focused on salvaging something that was already over that he couldn't see the gift he was being given. The chance to avoid marrying someone who saw love as something you could pause when more appealing options presented themselves. The apartment I was so resistant to giving up has become a sanctuary where I can think clearly without walking on eggshells around someone else's constantly shifting emotions. The wedding I was heartbroken to cancel would have bound me to someone who was already planning her escape before we had even exchanged vows. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are, and the kindest thing you can do for yourself is believe them the first time. Lexi showed me that she was someone who would block her fiancé and explore other options when relationship challenges arose, then blame him for the consequences of her choices. That is not someone I could build a life with, no matter how much history we shared or how much I had loved who I thought she was. Edit. Thank you to everyone who followed this journey with me. The support from this community helped me stay grounded when I was being gaslit about my own experiences. Edit 2. For those asking if I am dating anyone new, I am taking time to rediscover who I am outside of a relationship that required me to constantly manage someone else's emotions. It feels incredible to make decisions based purely on what I want rather than what might trigger someone else's insecurities. Edit 3. Several people have mentioned that this experience probably saved me from a much more painful divorce down the road. I think they are right. Better to discover someone's true character before marriage than after.